And it's my pleasure now to introduce Martin Minkos, the CEO of MySQL, who has played poker in many of these countries. So Martin, come on up.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you here today. I'm going to talk about the participation and the disruption of open source today. So I'm mostly going to talk about you, because you are the ones doing it, and we are the ones providing you with one of the tools. You need many tools, but we think the database is one of the most important tools that you need. So let me just start by polling the audience. How many of you are developers? Wow, that's a big group. And of you, or all of you, how many of you run on version 4? Great. How many are on 5.1? Very good. And how many are on 5.2? A few? Excellent, Stuart. Yes, I know you. So how many of you, I know it takes 1,000 non-paying users to find a paying customer, but how many of you are paying customers?
With pain?
That's excellent. The ratio is changing. And how many of you are business partners? 66 names, I think. Is that correct, sir?
Counts quickly.
So, I think we're in the midst of bigger things happening, and we're very proud to be in the middle of it, but there are just enormous technology shifts in the industry that we are being part of. And the first one happened a long time ago. In the 80s, the world started moving from proprietary, complex, clunky hardware over to commodity hardware and standardized hardware servers. And it took about 25 years to get that done. The next big shift was the move on the infrastructure side from closed source to open source. It started in the 90s, and I think we're still in the middle of it, so we haven't completed that transition yet. And the third big shift has only started in the recent years, which is the move from packaged applications from ISVs over to on-demand solutions and software as a service. And that's the future platform that software and solutions will be built on. And the most innovative companies are already on the right-hand side. And they run on commodity hardware, they build their infrastructure on open source, and they provide their software as a service to their customers. So right now technology is Omniture, why not YouTube, which is a consumer-facing operation. So this is just a great market to be in. And you know, when shifts happen, it means that small players can swim around the big players. And it gives opportunities for new entrants in the market that has never happened before. So I think there are many markets where there are 3 very, very big players who are dominating the market. At the same time, there's room for a new, eager little dolphin to enter and swim around them. And the great thing is that sometimes these become your customers. And in our case, that clearly is the case. We have customers and partners in this space. So just a great market to be in. So I said that open source is disruptive. And in what ways is it disruptive? Well, the first thing is to know is the bottom line. So read at the end of my slide. Open source disrupts inefficient models. So I usually tell the world, don't kill the messenger. The world is changing anyhow, and open source is the only proper response to the new needs of the market. So a disruption disrupts inefficient models and then generates new wealth on top of that, and it will be more wealth and more long-lasting than the previous one. And that's how industries evolve. And the great thing is that when you do something disruptive, you attract the best developers, and we have 1,400 of them here in the room today. You serve the fastest growing businesses. If you look at the most successful software IPOs, the most successful acquisitions in the last few years, nearly all of them have been based on open source. So you get the most innovative partners there, and it is something, when you do it, you are passionate about it. So all of us work in companies with very passionate employees. We get more emails than we ever can handle, and we still handle them. And at midnight, when we're ready to go to bed, we just check email once more to see if there's something we should deal with. So that's pretty amazing. And this disruption comes from a notion which we may not notice, but I tried to estimate how many developers it has taken to bring the world to where it is today. What did it take to create the information society that we're so proud of? So take all the developers who ever worked for IBM, Oracle, Microsoft, HP, SAP, all those companies. And it's a few 100,000 maybe. And most of them are white male at the age of 40 to 60 years today. So it's a very small portion of the world population. But today on the internet, we have 100 times more people who consider themselves developers. So maybe 30 million, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 50, I don't know. But there are 1 billion people on the internet, and it's just an enormous population who can produce software. And this is why everything is changing. It doesn't matter how many smart PhDs you hire into your company when there are 100 times more of them outside your company. And sure, do try to hire great developers, and everybody does, you need them. And without great developers you cannot succeed, but there's so much more power out there on the internet. And this is why the architecture of participation is now so powerful. Because 10 years ago, if you wanted to participate, you worked with people who lived in the same town or maybe in the same valley, but you didn't really cooperate across the whole globe. But today you can do it, and you get 100 times more power out of it. So we call it the architecture of participation. This was coined by Tim O'Reilly, the founder of O'Reilly, who's organizing this conference, and also now a board member of MySQL, by the way. So the architecture of participation means systems designed for user contribution, where you from the start design it so that people and users can contribute. So the GPL license is designed for this. It states that you can tinker with the code, you can modify it, you can redistribute it. So it invites people to contribute. Google is also an architecture of participation, because you participate in two ways. First, you provide Google with all your web content so that they can index it, and then you provide Google with all your searches so that they can sell ads against them. So that's also the architecture of participation. Or Delicious, where you share your bookmarks with everybody in the world. So the value of these services grow by the number of people who use them. Whereas traditionally, many services are such that the more people use them, the less valuable they are. But in this world, the more people use them, the more valuable they are. So we realized this at MySQL, maybe a little bit too late. I'm not sure we're on the leading edge, but we have a desire to be on the leading edge here. So we've launched a number of initiatives around this participation. And I've listed a few of them here. And you will know that last year we launched our MySQL Forge, where you can contribute code snippets, bigger packages. You can contribute code to the MySQL ecosystem. We are participating in Google Summer of Code. We have an internal developers meeting in Heidelberg in September, and we are inviting some community members to join us there. We have the Quality Contributor Program, where we're actively seeking input in the form of bug fixes, bug reports and bug fixes from you. So this is a very important initiative of ours, and we are eager to learn more and be even more efficient, reach out even more, be the most open, the most participating company in this industry. So it's a question of the production by amateurs. And let's remember what amateurs really means. It comes from the word of love, meaning it's people who are passionate about what they do. So professionals may sound like a very respectable term, but a professional is somebody who gets paid for what he or she does, and whether he likes it or not. But an amateur will work only when he or she feels for it. So that's why this is such an important power, and it doesn't remove the need for professionals, but it just adds to it enormously. So there are 4 examples of amateur production, and I'll just mention my favorite, because Zach talked about Canada, so I'm allowed to talk about Finland. Star Trek is the most popular Finnish movie ever produced, because you can download it on the net, and it's a parody of Star Trek, and it is dry Finnish humor, So for any of you, it will take 2 hours to realize that they're trying to be funny. But it was produced with no budget whatsoever. And it's a fantastic movie. The quality is amazing. And it has been viewed more than 3 or 4 million times. And then of course you have YouTube, where you produce the video content. You have Second Life, where people build their avatars and their lives. And you have Wikipedia, the grandfather of all architecture participation, the biggest encyclopedia in the world. Of course it runs on a great database. So let's remember that Noah's Ark was built by amateurs, but the Titanic was built by professionals. So this means that, as they say at Sun, the innovation happens elsewhere. I know that you are developers, you're very proud of what you do, and you think you are the smartest developer. But just get real, there are many other smart developers out there. So we are trying in MySQL to eradicate this not invented here feeling, and just go out and see what's happening around us. So look at these things. We got a great code contribution in the show profile thing we got from Jeremy Coe. We put it in our community edition. Kai Seidler in Germany has the XAMPP stack. It's an Apache, MySQL, PHP, and Perl stack, and there are over 15,000 downloads per day of this stack. Just an amazing thing, and it's his hobby, it's his passion, and that's what he's doing, and his team. Or look at what Amazon is doing with their computing cloud, and there's virtual storage where they're running MySQL on EC2, and there will be presentations about these topics at the conference. And then finally, Lighty, the Light web server, which now shows up on Netcraft surveys. It's soon more popular than the web servers produced by big corporations, and it was produced by one of our employees, Jan Kneschke, in his spare time. So talk about passionate amateurs and fantastic products coming out of it. So innovation happens elsewhere, but yes, we do innovate a little bit as well. So we're very proud of the innovation at MySQL, and when we got going, a main thought of Monty and David, the founders, was to not listen to others, not read the books about glacial theory, not try to mimic Oracle or IBM DB2, but just innovate new things. So they were the first ones with the limit clause back then. And now we have other big projects going. The MySQL cluster storage engine is a fantastic success. We are winning important deals in the telecom business, and we are moving it into the web business as well. We have the Falcon modern transactional storage engine, and we have the very successful monitoring and advisory service that we are now including in our subscription. And for this, I would like to bring up Robin Schumacher, our Director of Product Management, to show you some of the goodies in our innovation there.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you. Good morning. One of the things that we're doing here at MySQL that I'm really excited about is that we're taking away that black box feel that the servers had. Many of you have come to us and said, look, we really need help when it comes to either implicating the database or exonerating the database when an application isn't running well. And we answered that call last year in October when we introduced the monitoring and advisory service. Now this is part of our paid-for MySQL Enterprise subscription. And what it does is it scans all the MySQL servers in your environment behind your own firewall. It finds the best practice deviations that have occurred. It notifies you of those events, and it even supplies best practice advice on how to make things right again. So this service consists of 4 components. You've got the service manager that runs the entire show. You've got the agent that does the monitoring of the servers. You have the repository that holds all of the historical performance data. And then you have the web-based interface that you're looking at right now. Now, the interface categorizes all of your servers in an Explorer tree. It provides graphs that detail the activity of those servers. And then what I like best is this heat chart that's on the side. The heat chart graphically tells you what servers are up, what are down, and where you need to spend your time. Down at the bottom, you're going to find those notifications of best practice deviations that have occurred. And the other thing that we're doing here that I really like is that we're building these smart diagnostics into everything we do here at MySQL. For example, our new Falcon transaction storage engine. Even though it's in its alpha state right now, Jim Starkey and the Falcon team have included a whole set of diagnostic objects that we can make use of in the monitoring and advisory service. For example, right here I'm monitoring a Falcon database. I can see transactional traffic, memory usage, database I/O, and a whole lot more. Down at the bottom, I can find that some rules have been violated. So if I click on one, I find I have a current case of lock contention. I can see who's blocking who, how long the lock's been held, and even the statement that's responsible for that case of lock contention. Now the thing is, it's not just Falcon that we can do this for. Any storage engine can be included, whether it's an internal storage engine or third party. As long as they supply the statistics to us, we can monitor it just as I'm showing right here. So can we switch back to the slides, please? Okay. If you like what you've seen and you'd like to try the new monitoring and advisory service out, send us your contact information to the address that's on the screen right now. We'll make sure that you get a full working copy of the monitoring and advisory service. You can also download the new Falcon transaction storage engine. That's available on our website as well. And just one final FYI, everything that I just showed you was running on top of Falcon. So we're using Falcon now as a repository in our development work. It runs like a champ. Be also sure to check out the different sessions at the conference that are on Falcon and the monitoring and advisory service. Lots of good info there. Okay, back to you, Martin.
Thank you, Rob. There are two more things I'd like to say about the monitoring and advisory service. It's a remarkable milestone in the history of MySQL because they delivered their version 1.1 ahead of schedule. And this is a first for our company, so I hope to see more of those projects. And the other thing is that we had a major website in the US that went down. They had some issues there with implementing a new application. We sent our support team on site, we supported them remotely, we got them up and running very quickly. But it turned out they had not taken the monitoring and advisory service in use yet, and we would have spotted the issue even faster with the monitoring and advisory service. So it is intended to make sure that your uptime is higher, that you avoid the downtimes that you otherwise could have. So talking about uptime, an important notion is availability. And we talk about nines, we talk about 5 nines, 4 nines, 3 nines, denoting what percentage of uptime you require from your application. And with MySQL Cluster Carrier Grade, we can provide you with 5 nines of uptime in your production installations. But we've also learned that there's a variety of needs. Because uptime, it is very desirable, but it's also fairly expensive and complex. So you need to set your requirements on what the real uptime needs are. And we will make sure that we have a solution for every level that you want to go to. So on the highest level, MySQL Cluster is main memory cluster database. It gives you full redundancy and high uptime. The next, if you level on 4 nines, what we are doing is using MySQL Enterprise with the DRBD technology to provide you with about 4 nines. Or if you run MySQL Enterprise with replication, it typically is around 3 nines. So we've learned that there are a variety of needs that you have, and we will make sure that we have the solutions for you that serve exactly the need that you have. And of course, the smartest of you will use take the source code, compile it yourselves, you add your own features, you make sure it runs beautifully for you, and that's, of course, the power of open source that you can do so. So where are we then being used? I wanted to present to you our business strategy and where we are heading so that you know what you can expect from us. And we've been looking at our users and our customers and asking us, what is it that unifies all of us? What's the common denominator? And sure, we are the world's most popular open source database. And maybe today we are just the world's most popular database. We don't know yet. But what we really want to be known for is that we are the online database. We are the database powering the online properties that you are building. They can be consumers things, they can be business services, they can be telecommunications, mobile, VoIP, and so on. But that's the common theme. So I've identified here 9 areas where that we are focusing on and where we put energy into developing the right feature set, the right services. So we started as a web database in 95, 96. We have now become the dominant Web 2.0 database. So if you went to the Web 2.0 Expo last week, you saw a ton of MySQL customers there. We are serving the on-demand vendors or the software as a service vendors, and we are the leading database among hosting companies. With MySQL Cluster, we've gone into the telco and voice over IP business, and we are a leading database there today. In the security space, same thing. The leading security vendors rely on our database in their products. And then I have Enterprise 2.0, by which I mean the modern type of enterprise applications. So when we talk about MySQL Enterprise and we say we are ready for the enterprise, we mean we are ready for the enterprises who are ready for a web-based architecture. And Goldman Sachs has recently stated that the shift to more web-based applications in the enterprise is unstoppable. And this is an interesting shift because many of you represent innovative startups, web companies. You are really far out doing cool things in the web space. But just wait a few years and you'll realize that many of you will be working for the largest corporations who will hope to build similar systems for their internal business use. And that's what we call Enterprise 2.0. And then the hub and spoke area where you have terminals spread out all over a region. They can be point of sales terminals or in a warehouse, some sort of handheld terminals where we're strong contender and where we have good customers. And then of course, nearly all open source ISVs today run on MySQL. So these are the focal areas for our business, and I think we have a great number of fantastic references already, and we are expanding this. This is what we are focusing on. This is what our projects target at. This is what our marketing programs and our consulting services, our training is targeting at. So this also means that many others are drawn to the lamp. This lamp is shining brighter every day, and we are just one component of it. I think it's important to remember that maybe LAMP stands for Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, or Python, but it is actually much, much more. It's all our partners, all the companies who provide value-added software or services around the stack. That's what forms the stack. And all of these large leading companies in the world now have an open source strategy. They produce open source products. They partner with MySQL and others, and they are drawn into this world. So this means that open source is unstoppable. Microsoft has produced open source products like the Wix installer. They have a partnership with JBoss and Red Hat. They have a partnership with us, the partnerships with others, and they are sponsors here and active participants. There will be a presentation by Microsoft here. Oracle is very active in the Linux space with SleepyCat, with Innobase, very active player in open source. And IBM, of course, got everything going 6, 7, 8 years ago when they said they'll invest $1 billion in Linux. So this is a remarkable change that we've seen. And Sun, they now distribute their own SAMP stack, the Open Solaris plus Apache plus MySQL plus PHP, Perl, and Python. So in addition to these giants, we have all those innovative companies that you represent. So just many smaller teams, sharp teams who are focusing on a specific aspect of the stack, a service, a piece of software, or something. And you are the ones who are creating this ecosystem. You are filling our exhibition space with your booths. You are here, you're doing presentations. We're very thankful for all that innovation. And this is, again, innovation happens elsewhere. And I'll just give you one example, Zemanda with their backup solution. It wasn't long ago when we, at some MySQL conference, said, oh boy, why isn't there an open source backup solution available for the LAMP stack? And a year later, Zemanda was there, and they have it, and they back up MySQL, they back up other things. It's open source, they're growing very rapidly. So that's just one example of what this open source disruption can create for you. It creates enormous business opportunities for you. And this is why we have launched, as you may know, a new form of our partner program. We call it Mecca, so we hope you will all travel to Mecca. It's the MySQL Enterprise Connection Alliance, and those of you who are partners will already know about this. So it is just a great time for entrepreneurs, because if we now look back, I said that I estimate that there are 100 times more developers available today than some time ago. And then Joe Kraus, founder of Excite and JotSpot, he says that it costs a 30th today to start a business compared to what it used to do. So if you take 100 times more developers and it's 30 times cheaper, doesn't that mean that we should have 3,000 times more startups? Or am I wrong? I don't know, but I can just see this enormous power here bubbling in the ecosystem. And of course, we all know, not every entrepreneur is successful, not every business will be successful. But the more there are, the more we experiment, the more we will create success together. So let me talk a little bit about our organization, because it hasn't been spoken so much about, but MySQL AB is a global distributed organization. We are incorporated in Sweden. We have our business headquarters in Silicon Valley. The product was originally created in Finland. Support is primarily run out of Sicily. It's just completely global and distributed. So 70% of our full-time employees work from home. So we don't see each other. For us, this is a reunion with ourselves as much as it is with you users. When people list the major airport they live close to, we have 100 airports in that list. So to get to all MySQL employees, you have to travel through 100 airports. And it's nearly 30 different countries where we have those people. So here you see an example then of a reunion. This is 2 years ago, a developer meeting in Prague, where all our developers got together. By now we have twice as many, so this was a fairly small group. So how do we do this? I think we've learned the hard way, but we've learned some principles over the years. And I would say the top one is focus on culture. And then I say global culture. Because whatever we do, we always have this culture discussion in our company. And many times we have this, oh, why are those Europeans always on vacation? And why are those Americans so impatient? And why don't the Asians really tell us what they really think? But once you deal with it, you can overcome it and you create a global culture where you get a fantastic cooperation, where you respect each other, and of course you make jokes with each other as well. So we have those, and sometimes we get offended, but then we remember, okay, let's just get some harder, tougher skin and endure it. So this combination of being very global, but at the same time appreciating the local culture. So like Markus Popp, who joined us last year, he lives somewhere in Austria, and I don't know where he lives, but it's a town with 5,000 inhabitants. So he's very well rooted in his local culture. I'm sure he's enjoying the knödels that his mother is cooking. I don't know Markus, but I think so. And at the same time, he's part of a global culture and global business, and it really works. So to do this, you must have a very open communication style, open debate. So it's important that people can ask and question anything, because you never know, there's so many topics where we need to agree. So we have fierce debates, we have an email channel where emails go to everybody in the whole company, and they can discuss anything from whether email should be ASCII or HTML to some really serious stuff. And then we follow this saying, which is not American, it's Russian, doveriyai, no proveriyai. Trust but verify. How do we know that the people we have in Brazil are really working, or are programming in Argentina? Well, we trust them, that they have a passion for the work. At the same time, we verify. So we say, send your weekly email reports, update the work log, file your hours, your expense reports. And that's how we try to keep a balance here. We have learned that running a global organization, you must use a lot of electronic communication means, and you must use them differently. You must know when it's a good time for email, when IRC is the best tool, when Skype is the best tool, or telephone, or telephone and Skype, or telephone plus IRC, or wiki plus telephone. So you really have to tune it on a very detailed level to find an efficient way of working together. And then we have global virtual events. We had a global sports day at Vernal Equinox, 21st of March, Persian New Year. So we said, everybody go out and do some sport, spend $50 on whatever it is, and many chose to spend it on drinking beer. But and then we were instructed to send in pictures of the sport event. So people are comparing their marathon times across the continent. We didn't have one event, it was a global virtual event. And this is the difficult one, the virtual but genuine encouragements. So we try to, what you miss when you're not working in an office, if there's nobody tapping you on the shoulder and say, hey, great work, good work, keep up the good work. So we try to do it electronically. But then when you do it electronically, it doesn't always feel as good. So this is where we're still developing our techniques on how do you encourage people over email. So we have something we call can-do nomination. So when somebody does something really remarkable, they send an email to me and I will put it in my staff email saying, can-do nomination, Jay Pipes did a fantastic work in organizing the users conference, so that's a can-do nomination. And we get 3 of those every day on average in our company, so it's very good. But you need to figure out how to reward people, although you cannot be there present with them. And then when we have face-to-face meetings, they are not meetings, they are reunions. Originally, when we did face-to-face meetings, we stacked them full of meetings and presentations, and now we've learned, once we get together, let's just have fun. Because the meetings can be handled virtually, but having fun together, that's what you must spend time on. So I think we're perfecting the techniques for running a global, virtual, distributed organization, and it's a lot of fun. But of course, always when we have an issue, everybody says, oh yes, it's because we are not in one place. So we always blame this for whatever bad happens. But I do think that on the balance of it, it is a fantastic new way of running a business and creating new value and innovating together. So back to the disruption thing. So all of this participation creates a lot of positive disruption in the market. And there's such simple rules for this. First, find a smarter way to produce the goods. Find a smarter way to distribute the goods. And there you have a disruption. That's what Dell did, that's what IKEA did, that's what Southwest did, and Toyota. They figured out a smarter production method and a smarter way to reach out to the customers and deliver it to them. Then a good advice is to serve the underserved. Go for those who thought they couldn't afford it. Offer flying to those who would otherwise drive a car. Offer a car to those who would otherwise take the bus. Offer furniture to those who would otherwise, I don't know what, build their company. And like we did, offer the database to people who would otherwise use a file system. That's how we got going. Then you must keep it very simple. We're not always good at that, but we're trying to. And at the same time, you need to be an innovation leader. You need to innovate with new technology to provide new convenience. Like in Virgin Atlantic, they have the most fabulous entertainment centers, even in economy class. Or we have the monitoring and advisory service, which is a unique thing in the industry. And then, of course, you need to make money at the end, because somebody needs to pay for all your staff events and fun things and the salaries that you need to pay. So we see this as an unlimited business opportunity, and so one thing which is unlimited is you can download our software, you can download our product documentation without limit from our website. And we won't sue you for doing that. So we also came out with a new thing which we call MySQL Enterprise Unlimited. We said, let's just go nuts. Let's do the unthinkable. So we went out to corporations and said, pay us $40,000. That's the price of Oracle Enterprise Edition on one single CPU, just as a comparison. And we said, and we will give you an unlimited subscription, gold subscription. So you can have as many servers as you like, and we won't count them. And it's just amazing. This has been up for a few weeks, and we have closed more deals on this. It's our most successful campaign ever, and it continues. And of course, we are scared that we'll get too much of support load now because we have so many customers, but we are ready for this investment, and we know something that our customers may not know, that it's fairly easy to support our product because it's stable and it runs well. So some quick numbers for those of you who are interested where we are. Gartner reports that 66% of enterprises today are deploying MySQL or planning to. The Independent Oracle Users Group reported that a third of Oracle users also use MySQL at their sites. I referred to the Goldman Sachs statement earlier. We have an install base which we conservatively estimate to 11 million or more in the world. And our newsletter has 750,000 subscribers. So every month we reach out to nearly 1 million people who read the news about MySQL. So going forward, we'll focus on scalability, availability, manageability. We will be and want to be the best online database for you. And if we are not, tell us. If we are, tell the whole world. Because this is our ambition to be there, and we'll focus on very specific products and projects and working with partners on this. So this is what you should expect from us. This is what you should hold us accountable to and make sure that we live up to this promise to you.